Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Gaming Droid and our army mateys. Welcome back to Pirate Droid for another build episode. So in this episode I'm using salt blocks, which are a combination of salt in a 3x3 block, so 9 salt per salt block. Salt is literally just water boiled using a pot from Pam's Harvest Craft. Because of the cooking setup I've got, I can make infinite salt and infinite salt blocks very, very quickly just by shift-clicking on the salt out of the kitchen recipes. This is going to be a Thorncraft tower, and I'm going to use the salt blocks to start with, and I'm going to show you a little bit about how creative mode crafting upwards works, and going to be using the creative mode wand, or not the creative mode wand, the builder's wand, the obsidian and diamond wand. So just making sure things don't spawn, that had obviously been a problem. Just kill off a few of these, do some random kills with my daggers as I go. So I'm going to build this upwards because I wanted something above, and I obviously didn't light that up properly. This is one of the advantages of the throwing daggers, is very early on you can have the throwing daggers and they provide you the ability to do a lot of ranged shooting. So I want to build up a kind of spike tower, or not a kind of spike, a kind of pinnacle, upside down peak, if you will, that expands out to give me my platform. I don't want it to be too big, so I'm going to expand it for 1 block per level to start with, and then I go expanding it 2 and then 3 and then 6 blocks per level, just to make it out bigger. So this is a little bit later on. I've built up the base and now I'm expanding it out a lot quicker. As you can see, building it up quite nice and fast, just counting it out and making sure I've got the symmetrical spacing that I want. It's quite interesting to sort of look back at these builds and think how close I came to death, how often just sort of jumping off and landing on the edge of a block and things. It's a little bit crazy when I think that I just go about building these things in survival mode. It is interesting as well that a lot of people, when they build skyblocks, build a flat platform, and that's really understandable why when you look at how difficult it is to build things more than a flat platform when you're building in survival mode. Because most people like to run skyblocks entirely in survival mode without jumping over to creative to build things, because that's kind of the point of skyblocks, is they're there to make things a bit of a challenge. This is me doing my final mass expansion right at the top, which is the 6-out expansion. Because the Builder's Wand has a maximum range of 9, or a maximum drop of 9 per run, you can see that these are approximately sort of 15 wide edges and have been expanded out. I expand it more towards one direction at the end, so it expands out, but I just cut down the underneath now, so I'll get rid of the under platform because I don't need it anymore. And then I will build a ramp out from the ship, another boarding plank out from the ship to give the new location its sort of final touches. I don't finish up the build of this in this episode because there's other bits and pieces that I was getting on with and I made another episode in between. But the final build of this is literally just putting another layer on the what's going to be the Thorncraft castle that ends up there in the end. So I now have to sort of tweak the underside of the plank because it didn't come out how I liked, because I had to build at a steeper angle than I wanted to. So there we go, just sorted that out and popped back. Salt blocks are actually a really, really cheap way to build. They're as resilient as stone, and they look really nice. They're really, really easy to get hold of. You don't have to cook stone or anything like that. It's literally just shift-clicking in the kitchen, and you can make infinite of them. There's no cobblestone gen, there's no cooking required. So, like, for those people who are starting in Agrarian Skies 2, the salt blocks, the moment you have the kitchen ready, the moment you've got a little bit of iron, because it does take a little bit of iron, the moment you've got a little bit of iron to get the kitchen set up and get the pot made, you can make huge amounts of salt blocks, and these are really, really good. These are really good building material. There's an inventory full of salt, and there's 2.5 stacks of salt blocks just there, done in a few seconds. And as opposed to having to set up automated smelting systems to smelt yourself lots and lots of stone blocks. A little bit more showing off of how the Builder's Wand works. Just finish building everything out and then cut the edges back and shape it how I like. This is going to be the raised platform for the building, because there's going to be... I wanted to put grass down, but I have issues with passive mob spawning, and because passive mob spawning causes monsters to spawn, or passive mobs are aggressive, I mean, because passive mob spawning causes aggressive passive mobs to spawn, I'm actually going to avoid having grass down in that area, because I don't want passive mobs to be spawning in that area, because I don't want to have to be constantly fighting passive mobs to survive. So instead, once I've built this stone building, I come up with a different way of giving it a front lawn, which you'll have a little bit of fun seeing in a few seconds. So I lay down the walls, and when you lay down the walls you have to be very careful about lighting, because walls will not have light on top of them if they go out of range vertically of a torch. And this is something that I kind of fall victim to, shall we say, later on. But just using the Builder's Wand, this is the great thing about the Builder's Wand, it only places it on top of matching blocks. So there I was placing additional layer of walling very, very quickly using the Builder's Wand, because I didn't have to worry about anything like the salt blocks or any other blocks being placed down, because it was only touching a edged stone brick, so it would only place down edged stone bricks. Just mining the edges out just to finish the shaping, because it wasn't until I started putting in these post windows that I decided how I wanted the shaping to go. Again, use of the Builder's Wand just to put down some rapid edge stone brick, and then some normal stone brick on top of the pillars, on top of the wooden pillars, and some more edge stone brick, and there we go, that's the sort of first floor finish. I decided that these windows would look better, slightly more full length, and then after a little while I also sort of think about how I'm going to be placing the windows, and decide that I would prefer to have thinner wood. But this is my sort of solution to wanting a grassy or a sort of natural greeny floor. I've dyed some cobblestone green using a paintbrush and some green dye that I got from my cacti, and that allows me to put down a green floor. Then again, Builder's Wand, just put in the second story. Nice and easy. I just decided to go with a brick floor for the first of the raised floors, and using the Builder's Wand makes it nice and quick to put in. I use the same style of staircase as I used in my other build, which is the microblock post staircase, because I quite like the microblocks post staircase. I prefer it to stair blocks because I think it looks better, but that's a matter of sort of personal taste. It takes me a couple of tries to find out sort of the right positioning for it, and this I think is the final positioning build for the staircase. And there we go, that's my first staircase, and I just finish off the edge of the roof and pop down a torch, and that's the sort of start of the Thorncraft building setup. I do a few bits of glass because I want to build the crystal, and some stairs and some blocks just to finish off the shaping. If you want to rotate stairs and you have the crescent wrench, which is part of, I believe, Mine Factory. If you have the crescent wrench and you want to rotate stairs because they don't go in facing the right direction, then you can just rotate stairs by right-clicking with the crescent wrench, which is one of the easier ways of adjusting where stairs are placed, rather than trying to sort of point your direction in the right direction, click on the right place. If you just tap with the right-click with the crescent wrench, then you can just rotate the stairs through all the different variations. And yes, I'm still putting down crafting benches everywhere, because that's who I am. I start to build up this floor, get a few mistakes here and there, but nothing terrible, as I try to set up the right spacing, and I decide to go with slightly thinner sticks because these sticks seem too thick, they take up too much space. So I chop them all down again and cut them down with the microblock saw into smaller ones, which once they're doubled up look quite good as window batons. Later on I could install some glass panels or some glass panes either inside or outside of these to actually turn them into glass windows, but I quite like the open window design, the idea of lots of airflow, especially because Thorncraft produces flux, which a Thorncraft wizard would want to get rid of. So that's the end of that build, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.